So this is the beginnings of the business offices. We'll come back and tour this. This got redone a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks nice.
Yes. I'm about June 11th. I'll be 20 years in this piece.
That's amazing.
So I run Funk Flex's digital as well as Producers Radio show.
I love it.
So yeah, we're doing some really good things in the space.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Greetings, techsters. Welcome to Hot in Tech, the #1 tech show in hip-hop, brought to you by the birthplace of hip-hop, Hot 97.
Facts.
I'm Jesse K. This is my co-host, Tat Wizza, a.k.a. the hip-hop tech wizard.
What's good, B?
Today, we've got the ultimate hustler in digital, period. He's got his hands in everything behind the scenes, but is quickly becoming the face of business tech. Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary, what's good, my dude?
I'm good, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming.
What a year, 2016.
The best.
Gary, you
I
first...
love how everybody's like, this is the worst year. I can't wait for this year to be over. I love this year.
Yeah, it's been a great year for you.
I'm talking about, it's always a great year. No. If you're alive, it's a great year. You could decide it's a bad year, but as a matter of fact, this is not the best business year I've ever had, but it's the best year because what's the alternative?
Facts.
Right?
I love your energy. I
appreciate it.
So many times I'm out here telling people like, yo, get up, pull your bootstraps, get up here, get out and do something with yourself because there's no limit. It's you that's stopping yourself. And I see that in your messages all the time.
To me, I always get an extra bolt when I'm around hip hop and urban demo because they understand it better. Like, it's unbelievable how much I in my brain, and this is a forewarning, all of you are about to say, pfft. You know, it's unbelievable how much in my brain I think that my son, white kid, Upper East Side, rich, is at disadvantage over minority from Harlem. If that kid, if she or he understood what eating dirt, how much of an advantage that actually is, I lived it. I came from nothing, so I wish they knew. And so every time I'm in a setting like this versus I'm in a suit, which is, as you guys know, everybody's making jokes today, twice a year, funeral, and I had to be at the New York Stock Exchange today. Like, it's unbelievable to me how much people don't get it and realize how much opportunity there is. And when you come from zero, you have an advantage in 2017, not a disadvantage. And I'm trying to get people through sheer will and putting out content to understand that.
Facts.
You first got on my radar when you were, one of your companies, Wine Library TV, was popping on YouTube.
Yep.
And you came out with this rant talking about the entrepreneurial spirit of tech being very like the early days in hip hop. And I was like, this guy's one of us. So, he's talking hip hop and tech at the same time. But that was like 8 years ago.
2008, I made a video, 2009, I made a video that said, tech is about to be what hip hop 85 was. You know, I grew up in Jersey and Edison. So, I'm cliche white kid that was affected by Yo MTV Raps, part of that first generation, Adidas, that's what I grew up in, a lot of diversity back then. And so, I remember when I thought the Fat Boys or Beastie Boys or KRS-One were famous, but I knew that the world did it. And now the biggest rappers in the world are the most famous, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I saw in tech when Kevin Rose and Zucks and Sokka and Ev Williams, I'm like, okay, I know they're gonna be big and they're cool, but the world doesn't yet. I remember telling Kevin Rose, who was the founder of dig.com, which was the big site back in the day, I said, you need to understand that we're gonna be like the baseball players from the 50s and 60s where they made less money in their whole, Willie Mays made less money in his whole career than an average baseball player makes in a year now.
But one of the legends in the game.
And so I said to Kevin, I said, you're gonna be a legend in the game because he was a Web 2.0 legend. I said, but you need to understand one thing. The next you in 7 years is gonna be dating supermodels. And I was making that joke, and sure enough, Evan Spiegel marrying a supermodel. So I think it's, you're right. That was the video where I first kind of like put that out there. And I'm impressed that you sniffed out what I was up to.
That's how you got on my radar, and you've been steady grinding ever since. Now,
and prior.
It feels like this year, though, with maybe the rise of Snapchat and maybe your content engine heating up, that you've really kind of become a household name in this space.
Yeah, this was the very big year for me. Like if you look even at basic vanity numbers of growth of like my social numbers between D-Rock and I getting serious, yesterday or the day before was the 1 year anniversary of DailyVee, the documented thing that I do. We got serious. I got to a place where VaynerMedia, for a lot of you that don't know, I have a company that does social media advertising and digital advertising for the biggest brands in the world. It got big enough where I could afford me being the face of it to put some dollars into people against my brand. And yeah, this year everything changed in a pretty significant way.
So I first saw you, and forgive me for just catching up, but
no worries. Back to this point, most people are just catching up.
A little less than a year ago, right after CES, my first episode, DailyVee 003, a friend of mine from Silicon Valley said, hey, you remind me of somebody. I want you to check out Gary Vee. So I watched this episode while driving in my car, and you said something that just took me, I was like, yo, this is the guy.
It's about to get crazy. Honestly, in a different way, DJ Khaled is the Ashton Kutcher moment for Twitter.
You said DJ Khaled was the Ashton Kutcher for Snapchat, meaning
right.
what Ashton Kutcher was to Twitter,
yes,
introducing it to people and
Khaled
getting it out there.
To Snapchat.
Khaled was the Snapchat, and I knew, like, Khaled is a really good friend of mine. I'll even say, and I'll put this out there, right before Khaled exploded on Snapchat, he was in New York, and we were Snapchatting in the studio. He was here. He had just popped the term Major Key with Flex on Hot 97, and we were using Snapchat, and he went back and figured out how to use Snapchat for him and became the king.
100%. I mean,
so when I saw you say that, I was like, this guy, man.
You knew that I knew, right? Yes. Because it was still early. That was January 5th.
Yes.
Khaled really popped. I mean, I'm really in my shit. Can I curse on this?
Of course.
Okay, good.
For you.
November 13th, 16th, that's when his stuff really started getting going. So he's 6 weeks in, but because I was there with Ashton and I was like, okay, this is the guy and this is the platform. And by the way, I've been pressuring back to music. Back to all your homies, somebody's going to be that for Musical.ly. There still isn't a mainstream celebrity that just decided to own. And it's so crazy. Musical.ly is such a thing to win for a musician because you could win the entire 11 to 16-year-old girl ecosystem.
Yes.
And I'm just like yelling at some of my famous music friends like, do this, do this. So Khaled was the guy that figured out how to storytell on a platform that was about to become mainstream. Ashton did that on Twitter, and somebody's going to do that Musical.ly, and then House Party or something else, or something that's going to be invented next year.
Yes.
There's always going to be a Christopher Columbus, and I know you're tight with him. The economics are crazy. The amount of money Khaled's making,
it's retarded.
Knowing how hard he's worked. I pay attention of the grind, the spinning night after night, the grind, and he doesn't fly. The grind. Right. To think about the endorsement deals and the biz dev deals and the money that's being pumped into his world, it's a lesson for everybody listening, and this isn't just for people that have Khaled's fame, all the aspiring hip hop artists, like pop where everybody actually is, and then you got a shot.
So we're going to talk about 2017. This episode's going to be futurist. It's going to talk what's coming next. Starting with CES, where Tat just first learned about you last year. What do you see for 2017 CES? How does that set the tone?
You know what's funny, especially because I know a lot of people would just be learning about me right now. I'm not Nostradamus, right? Like, I love people that think I am, but I'm not. And so the answer is, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what I'm paying attention to right now. There's 3, after school, for high school kids, House Party, I already mentioned it, Marco Polo. There's things that are popping, but Anchor and Peach and, Yik Yak, there's always been these things.
Right.
There's nothing yet that is like 100%. I mean, I was paying attention to and talking about Snapchat for 2.5 years before I got loud. You saw the fat me in 2012 talking about the video. Like, I was like, so there's nothing that is like, there's nothing at least right this second that I would put my name on saying 2017 is the year of. I mean, I didn't know that Instagram was going to follow and copy features from Snap. Like, you never know. Just what I think I'm good at, and what you've probably seen the last decade, is when I taste it, I'm like a shark with blood. Sharks are crazy. Like a little, like a
mile out.
Like a mile out, like a little speck of blood, and they're like,
Yep.
That's what I'm good at. When I feel that, when I taste that blood in the water, I'm so fucking on it. It's 24. I shut down in December on my family vacation and spent every minute dissecting Snapchat because I knew Khalid had popped. And I'm like, wait a minute, if Khaled's popping, this is really double good for me because the way he rolls, that's kind of similar to like the way we got our differences, but like the thing that the kids are attaching to, that motivation, I'm living that.
Right.
Like for real. I only do that. I don't end DJ. That is me. That is what I do. And so I think that that's what I'm paying attention to. I don't know what's next, but I'm always circling those waters, and don't let somebody drop a little ounce of blood because I'm going 24/7 at it once I taste it.
Facts. So that was leading into the next question, right? I was going to ask you, Snapchat or Instagram, what do you do?
Both.
And we kind of figured you'd say that. So what do you do first?
Both.
At the same time,
Yep.
you're not going Snapchat, then taking that video and putting it on Instagram.
I mean, honestly, that's just a cadence. That's a moment in time. Like that's a however you feel, like which one you like. But anybody who's listening right now that wants to make something happen, you're gonna build the next biggest clothing line. Both.
Right.
You want to get some new customers for your bakery shop? Both. You want to get a job interview at a social media shop? Both. Like if you have ambition, your actions have to match that. And too many people are just like not putting in the work. Their mouth is way ahead of their fucking actions. Like, really? You're going to be the greatest NBA player of all time? Why? Because you think you got a little handle on the weekends? You need to shoot 15,000 free throws before school every day.
Facts.
And so, to me, the answer is both. And it's not even like when people in business, like if you're a normal person, if my brother-in-law, Alex Klein, is like, what should I do for my life? I don't care, one or the other. But if you're a business person or you have ambitions or you want to run for office or whatever you want to do, both, always, and
use every avenue.
And Twitter, and Facebook,
use every avenue.
And
Got
YouTube,
yes.
and SoundCloud,
right.
and.
Do you think the spectacles will help Snapchat?
I do.
Okay.
I think here's my big macro POV on this. Snapchat is the first social network that has a chance to be a brand. People think about Snapchat the way they think about Yeezys, the way they think about SoulCycle, the way they think about Starbucks. It's a brand. And that's what these glasses, these spectacles have a chance of doing. If they pop and they hold, Wall Street, business people, the people that roll with me, are not just going to think and compare it to Instagram and Facebook. They're going to compare it to Instagram and Facebook and Under Armour. And that's a place where they want to be, because then all of a sudden money goes up. Then all of a sudden the company's worth more money. And so to me, as a company that has IPO ambitions and wants to be on the stock market next year, that's a big deal.
So
you saw that with the lines. They were crazy for the spectacles.
And they work really well. We love them. I'm super big into consumer gadgetry.
Yep.
So I think that they are what Google Glass should have been to consumers.
But the reason they were is Google, and this is for everybody who's listening, this is a great segue, and I'll take it to a macro level. This is about knowing your DNA. This is where you have to know yourself. Let me explain. Google was started by two nerds. Mm-hmm. So when they made a consumer product, it was nerdy. You ever see the picture? Like if you're listening right now, Google Glass. Yeah. Like you don't want to hang with that kid.
Yeah.
Snap made that's made by Evan Spiegel. He's dating a supermodel. He was a cool LA kid. He went, like he's 25. Like the way they rolled it out, the vending machines, like it was a PR play. It was like marketing, it's branding. It had a hell of a lot more Nike in it than it had Apple, right? And even Apple's crossed over and has that, but like Snapchat's on a whole different level. And so, I mean, straight up, if Snapchat is successful with this at scale and every 16 to 26-year-old is wearing them and is into them, and the real play is definitely gonna be Summer Jam and Coachella, and like when the summer comes around, if East Coast kids are wearing those glasses to their vacation, then they've got it. And now all of a sudden you got a debate in the same way that nobody thought that Nike would get knocked off by Yeezys, like are Snap sneakers the hottest thing in 24 months? That's why this matters so much, because they're going into brand, not just tech platform. And especially in the context of the people that would listen to something like this, people that listen to something like this, they understand flavor, they understand swag. And that's not just about how good a product is, and that matters.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little about Amazon and the Amazon
We can talk about
ecosystem?
anything you want, my man.
The Echo has
You got me.
Echo has been huge for the holidays.
I love it.
It's selling
I agree.
everywhere. How does and the drone culture that Amazon's building? Amazon's
a beast.
Changing things. Do you think that the Echo changes the game in terms of content and
Yep.
how?
Easy. When you're brushing your teeth and you're down to the last piece of your toothpaste and you say, Alexa, reorder my toothpaste, whoever Amazon made the deal with on the other side is going to sell you that toothpaste. And that is worth quadrillions. That's more than billions. That's more than trillions. That's quadrillions. And so for me, it's huge. AI, voice activation, like, here's the thing that a lot of youngsters, if you're listening, you're under 25, that you can't know because this has always been your life, but old cats like me, 40, like, need to understand, right? We just started. Like, does everybody understand what's going on here? We've just started.
Yeah.
Technology's not going backwards.
Facts.
Like all these parents that don't want their kids on iPads, I want my kid on an iPad 24/7, 365.
They learn faster.
Not only do they learn faster, what world do you think they're gonna live in?
Yeah.
Like, what? Run outside and play?
You're giving them a disadvantage by not teaching them this early.
100. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think your kids are going to be doing? So I think voice, AI, AR, VR, all that stuff is coming. I don't think it's at scale. I think Alexa is the first consumer product that has scale. So I think a lot, it's fun now. It's fun to walk in and be like, yo, put on that Chance album. And they do. That's cool. That's funny. That's like, we haven't had that before. But it's going to get way more serious than that. Alexa, fill up my car with gas. Now all of a sudden, who's going to invent the Uber for gas where you don't have to go to a station, but gas comes to you. And the reason you did that was because of Alexa. See how I'm thinking?
I didn't even think of that.
Of course not. That's why I'm the bet. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no,
but honestly, on a very, but this is how my brain thinks. I think 2 chess moves. Like, I know what's in front of us, right? But I met my wife on J-Date. In 2003, if you went on internet dating, you were the biggest, weirdest nerd living in your mom's basement. I wasn't scared because I already played the chess games and said, everybody's gonna do this. Got it?
Yeah.
And so that's it. That's what everybody listening has to do. If you want to make money, you pay attention. If you want to be rich, you pay attention to what's going on now. If you want to be wealthy, like all-time wealthy, you need to understand what's going to happen next after this. And so we need to understand what happens with these norms. And so I think Alexa's a big deal. I think anybody who's lucky enough to be able to afford that, because that's a luxury, in their home and uses it, will see how their behavior changes. And then what's going to happen is the same reason my 4.5-year-old comes to a TV screen and swipes it and is blown away by why it's not doing something. Everybody listening right now in 6 years is not going to accept things not being voice activated. You're gonna text that way. You're gonna talk that way. You're gonna order, the headphones are out now. Like, I don't have them yet. Like, they're out and about, right? Like, it's gonna be voice activated because all we care about is speed. And if I could say it faster than I text it, then I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's comfort.
By the way, that's why texting exploded. It's faster than talking.
Yeah.
But if you're just walking or if you're driving and you need to pick up your kid or do the laundry, if you've got your earpieces in and say, Siri, order my laundry, or, everybody's gonna have basically an assistant at their fingertips. Yeah. You're never gonna forget anything anymore. You're gonna get everything done. It's gonna be unstoppable.
With Google Home coming into the space too, you can even ask questions.
Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, these 4, 5, 6, 7 biggest tech companies, they're all going to be playing.
Yeah.
They're all competing against each other. There'll be a Facebook home and a Google home and an Apple home. They're all going to fight for it.
Yeah. Google just got into the game with devices and their whole different ecosystem together. And I just think it's amazing. It's great. But I've also been preaching caution, like, okay, yes, you have to do this, but you have to do it. You have to learn it the best way and how it works for you. So you're not just out here giving away your information, or you're just not out here doing it the wrong way and looking like a fool, or whatever the case is.
That's everything, right? Like, I'm glad you're giving that advice, but when people ask me about that stuff, I'm like, well, let's talk about alcohol.
Yeah.
Let me give you advice. Don't drink 80 fucking 40s, like in one night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything in moderation.
But how long did it take people to learn that, though? You had Prohibition where everybody fought to, and then they were...
That was religion,
yeah, but...
But I think you're right, and that's exactly right. But the other thing that you learn is people are good. In the last 15 years, all of us giving away our data, doing all this, there wasn't as much bad.
Right.
This notion that everything's... Like, this is back to the opening line of this interview. Things are good. You want to talk about, and mainstream media wants to talk about, and people want to talk about the small percentage of bad.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. And by the way, there's plenty of bad. There's always going to be sexism and racism and religion persecution. There's always going to be that. That's how humans roll.
Human nature. Yeah.
But anybody that wants to level this conversation up with me at a macro level, it's better.
Yes.
1945 was not as good as today.
Yeah. If you were alive 10 years ago and cognizant, then you know the difference.
100%.
Yeah.
This is also a great year for the music business. It's trending up.
I love that.
It's great to see that vinyl, every aspect of music is growing. A lot of it has to do with the streaming wars. You know, Spotify, Tidal, Apple
Music, yep.
Which one are you leaning towards? Which one do you got?
Music is a place where I don't like to talk a lot about because I think one of the great things that have happened to me in the last 4 years is I don't talk about shit I don't know. And it's made me real popular. People pay attention because you know what? I talk.
You're not wasting their time.
When I'm talking about you want to talk about Alexa, you want to talk about Facebook, you want to talk about Instagram, bring anybody here. Put Zucks in here, bring them all. You want to talk about music? There's a lot of people that understand it better than I do. I've always historically stayed away from music because of all the legalities and things of that nature, and it made it scary for me. Look, it's tough to bet against Apple because when you have all the money in the world sitting in your bank account, you could buy Spotify and Tidal 44 times over, right? So that's one thing that I think about to actually give you an answer and not stay away from it. You know what's funny? I never thought music was in trouble. I thought the music business,
yes.
that was built where people that were taking too much of the cut was in trouble, and that's good. I like that. Yeah. I want the artists to have more leverage. Artists have more leverage today than ever because distribution's been commoditized. The game's changed. So you go through a 10, 20-year period where it's scary, people cry, but on the other side of it, it's better. And so of course music, to me, music is always great. You know why? It's one of the 4 or 5 cultural pillars of society. It will always be here. People will always care about music. People will always care about sports. People will always care about religion. People will always care about sex. There are like only a couple of things that people will always care about. Music's one of them.
Music crosses over even all of those boundaries. Some people might not like sports. Some people might not be religion segregated.
It's your passion. It's what you're into. It's one of the things. That's what he's saying. If you're passionate about music, then you're diving all in. But you may be passionate about sports or religion or whatever the case is. And we're passionate about tech.
Yeah. And you've always been a music fan, obviously.
But I'm a funny fan. Like, I'm not as educated. You know, it's funny to have Boyd here. Like, when Boyd became AJ's friend in college, I was like, okay, cool. Some kid that really knows hip hop, and I'll really be on top of it early. Like, I love music for escapism. So the reason I like hip hop as a person is far more because I like storytelling. Like, I'll give you a good one. I don't really give a shit about beats all that much. Like the melodies, like the heart, like I like the story. Like Biggie won me because he told a story. Yeah. Like I need storytelling. Like I understand, like when I listen to Kendrick Lamar, I don't love like the music. Like I don't need to like listen to it 50 times.
You don't want to know who produced it. You want to know what he's talking about.
And by the way, I'm very aware of how important and how other people only go with producing and only the music. I need the story. I need the lyrics and the words. And what does it mean? And where is she or he going? And so, but what music does for me is when I go on, a flight, like Saba, right? I'm all about Saba right now. And so like, I'll listen to the same 2 Saba from his last thing that he just dropped. I'll listen to the same 2 songs the whole 6 hours to LA tomorrow. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah. So I know a lot of people listening, especially because it's Hot 97, like love music. Like all my friend Moose at Mount Ida College, who was a real hip hop fan, put me onto Scarface, was super into the Houston scene 2 to 3 years before Master P and everybody started learning the South. He would only listen to a song once and then cherish it. He would cherish it for like 4 weeks. I heard First of the Month by Bone Thugs and played it 47,000 times in a row. So I know that I listen to music in a way that hardcore music people don't respect as much, and I know that. I get that, and I love that. I watch football. I'll watch football tonight. The Jets have a Monday night game when we're taping this, and I'm gonna watch offensive linemen's block technique. I know people don't watch football that way. So, it's what music, much like the other ones, obviously some people go extremely deep and really kind of know it. But even me, who's not deep, needs it. It's a part of his life. And that's what I love about it.
We have a guy here named Ebro. Ebro in the morning, he's also on Beats One.
Yep.
Really big guy.
Yep.
He recently said something that Snapchat was in trouble. Now, I kind of was wondering that as well with Instagram doing what they did. And We asked about the spectacles. I do think that is going to bring it back.
He said it because his views are down on Snapchat because everybody's views are down.
Right. But my real question is, everybody's really talking about how Twitter's in trouble. Could Twitter become MySpace?
Yes.
Ooh, that's scary.
For Twitter.
Well, it's scary for me too. I'm gotten used to getting my news from Twitter.
Great. People used to get their news from the radio.
Facts.
Right? I was used to getting my music from MTV.
So we just got to realign and get our news from Snapchat or Instagram.
Yep.
Okay. Twitter's in trouble. Shit.
And by the way, Twitter is the reason I'm even sitting here. As you know, Twitter was the first time I really popped back in the day. I was doing my wine show. I jumped on Twitter. I thought it was going to be big. It ended up being way bigger. And I really popped and transitioned into business content instead of wine content. And so I love Twitter. Twitter's like the first girl I ever hooked up with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always that peace in my soul. And so it's hard for me to say that. By the way, I sit on a lot of Twitter stock. I sold a lot of it, but I still have a lot, and I have a lot of economics.
What can they do?
They got to change. You got to evolve.
Yeah.
Like Madonna did it right. She reinvented herself 14 times. That's why she had a long career. You know, like you've got to reinvent yourself. You need Twitter didn't make product changes for 6 years in its prime.
Yeah.
You know, so let's talk about sports. When you're the best athlete and you're like the guy and you're like one of the top 15 players, basketball, I'm looking at Dunk, at Dunk on Instagram, I'll give you some love. He's got one of the big basketball accounts, so I'm thinking about that. I think about basketball players. Draymond Green, he's my buddy. Draymond really worked on his game every offseason. Ricky Rubio, the flashy point guard from Minnesota, if he developed his outside shot, he would have been a much bigger player. He had all the passing skills, the quickness. He's got everything. If instead of going to Ibiza and fucking chicks in the offseason, he worked on his 18-foot jumper, he'd be in the game. Yeah. Twitter was banging chicks in the summer. Got it?
Yeah.
But they're seeing a little bit of a renaissance.
It's a good analogy.
That's good.
They love it back then. That's what happened. Yeah. And guess what? And then you deserve to lose. Because some other kid isn't.
Yeah,
some other kid is sitting in the rain on July 16th taking 55,000 shots. And that's what Snapchat and Instagram did. And that's what happened.
I'm not going to lie. That's why I respect Mark Zuckerberg so much. Because he does not sit down. He's a gangster. He's
the best.
You think he's letting something happen, and then even before they make changes, months back, he buys Masquerade, the people that made the Snapchat filters, and you're like, oh, they got some shit coming. And then they drop all this other stuff. He hasn't even dropped that yet.
He's a long-term player. He's a beast. It's the same way I thought about Hillary Clinton. Like when I was like, I would always say about Hillary Clinton, I was like, yeah, but Hillary will go to Russia, go to a meeting with Putin, slice his throat, walk out, Putin's dead, and Hillary's like, I don't know. And I'm like, shit, I want that on my team. And that's how Zucks is. Zucks doesn't look the part. Like nobody who's listening or watching right now is scared of Zucks, curly-haired Jew kid walking in.
He looks
you will be
goofy
dead.
on purpose.
He will kill you.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to business, what he does, he will kill you. Yeah. You copied my shit, and
do something about it.
You want to talk about real, like you want to convey it into hip hop? He rolled up on you in the street, punked you, took your fucking wallet, looked in your face and said, do something.
Yo, he pulled up on him.
That's what Instagram just did. Now it's Evan's call. Now Evan either doesn't do something, and then that's how it ends, and we all know that, or he does. We're about to find out.
Snapchat, before Instagram did this, they answered everything so fast, and they haven't answered Instagram yet, so I know they got something big coming.
Because it's different. Snapchat was innovating.
Yeah.
Now Instagram copied. Now they have to counter, but they did. Like the glass is a real thing. So like, it's a real battle. Zucks, Ev, Kevin Systrom, you're talking about real winners. This is a real fight.
Yeah.
This is a real fight. Yeah. Like, this isn't like, you hear like a rap battle. You're like, this guy versus this guy. You're like, no, this is a good one. Yeah. Not everybody's sure what's going to happen. And the truth is, both are big enough to win. So that's a whole nother thing. Like everybody loves, when two artists get into a battle, who wins? Both, yeah. Unless you get completely punked. Hov addressed this in a song. He tried to kill 50 Cent. Yeah. But he was good enough. Like, that's what's so great about business. It's so similar to hip hop. If you're good enough, you will stay. Yeah. And if you're not, you won't. That's it. So if Meek's good enough, he'll stay. Yeah. Maybe he didn't respond fast enough. Maybe people that aren't as deep into it as you are think it's still over, because that's the real issue with brand, from a speed thing. But I think that's right, and that's how I think about it. And so like when I talked about 3-4 years ago liking Bezos and Zucks more than Steve Jobs, people got mad at me because he was on such a pedestal. But to me, like, they're the next generation entrepreneurs, and both of them have had monster 3-4 years, and and that's not going to go away, because if you're good, you're good.
You touched on something, right? AIs, and a show just finished, Westworld. Did you see Westworld?
No, but I know everybody's watching, but I don't watch TV.
Okay, well, Westworld pretty much at the end of the day is about AIs becoming self-aware.
And then take over and kill us?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's going to happen.
So Skynet is real.
Yep. We're going to die.
Wow.
Like, don't be scared of the crazy guy in the corner of your street. Be scared of some robot that's going to slice your throat in the middle of the night that used to pick up your laundry.
So do some survival packing now.
I mean, it's far away.
Yeah.
What I don't know is when it flips, but this is just the beginning.
Yeah, 10 years out.
Do you know what virtual reality porn looks like? Let me save you guys time. No dudes leaving the house in 15 years ever again. We will be a world with no dudes. Yeah. They're all just going to be home.
Pornhub and Boing Boing, they already got their 360 channels ready for you.
But like, it's way beyond that. When you really play it out, when you actually think it's happening,
it's over.
It's over.
Yeah. They have the Bluetooth accessories to go with it now, so you do. It's happening.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Like, it's over. And so, like, people will be like, that's so weird, that's so bad. True. Go dig up somebody who died in 1854, show them the way we live our lives, and they would think it's the craziest shit they've ever seen. Yeah. The craziest, like, these are people without electricity. Like, what do you think they think? Like, forget about cable TV or internet. No, they didn't have electricity. Like, they didn't even know what a phone was. Like, they wanted to do something, they, like, walked 13 miles or, like, jumped on a fucking horse. So, yes, that's what happens. Wow. But we need to figure out, as businessmen, as entrepreneurs, as human beings, what are we actually gonna see and what aren't we? I do think that happens. What I don't know, because I'm not educated enough, is that 50 years away? Right. Is that 200 years away? But all the trends point to a very, very, very different world. Yeah. IBM Watson is smarter than you. Yo. Like, these are real things.
Watson just helped write lyrics to a song and it became a pop hit. It's nuts.
Of course, because Watson has all the data to know exactly what we actually react to. So here are the last 8,000 hot songs, and Watson says, got it, got it, got it. Okay, here's the song.
Yeah. AJ the Whiz Kid or something like that. Yeah.
There was something that I always talk about EQ, like my big advantage is emotional intelligence, this and the other thing, and somebody sent me a tweet or a DM somewhere that showed that computers now have more EQ than humans, and I'm like, crap, there goes my advantage. Like, technology is going to keep taking people's advantages away, and so we need to understand that. Yeah. It's fun when you're benefiting. It's fun when you use the internet to build the biggest wine store. But then when wine grapes are being like turned into molecules and people just lick a stamp and it's like drinking wine, then I'm like, it's always fun when you're on the right side of this. It's not fun when you're on the other side. My big point of view to everybody who's listening and watching is figure out how to be on the right side of it.
Stay woke.
That's
how we say it. Stay woke.
That's it.
So 2017. What are you focused on? What's Gary Vee personally focused on? We talked a lot about trends.
Listening to people. This is going to air. You're going to tell me. And I'm going to watch everybody's reaction. What part did they like? Oh, they thought it was cool and I said Twitter was fucking chicks in the summer? Good. I may use that again. Oh, they thought, like, why did I wear a suit? That looks shit. Oh, shit, I'll never wear a suit again. Like I'm a counterpuncher. What am I going to do in 2017? The same thing I did in 2007, 1997, and 1987. I'm going to watch people's reactions. You know why I sold a lot of baseball cards? I see your handsome partner Ryan here in the back, right? Because I would go and watch how people reacted to other people's tables, and it would take me 3 hours to set up my baseball card table because I figured out the UI and the UX of my table and what people were selling and buying stuff for. I didn't even open up shop. I walked the floor of the convention for 4 or 5 hours, and I tasted. Oh, everybody's pumped about the Bo Jackson black and white scorecard? Cool, I'll raise the price. Oh, everybody's selling the McGuire, USA, I'm gonna do that. Oh, the 86, 87 Fleer basketball cards keep going up. Let me not sell them this weekend. I react. I always react. And so what I'll do in 2017 is I'll pay attention if Snapchat's really in trouble. They're really in trouble if 15 and 19 and 23-year-olds get off. They're not really in trouble if the views that you lost were from 45-year-olds that were coming on. They need to figure that out, but they're not in trouble. Got it? Right. So what I'm going to do is, one of the reasons, to your point, Jesse, earlier, is that I'm putting out a lot of content. I've even gone DailyVee's now daily, right? And that's a reaction. Casey, the best video blogger in the game, good friend of mine, I invest in his company, he stops. I start the next day doing daily because I knew his audience how to find people. I knew a lot of those 15-year-old girls weren't gonna love me that way because they didn't care about the business. That's fine. But if I took a percentage of that, that was me reacting. I didn't know Casey was gonna retire from vlogging this year. So that's a reaction to an opportunity, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah. What you're doing is you're staying woke and you're doing your due diligence.
I'm woke for the rest of my life, 24/7, 365.
Facts.
That's the truth.
That's what you gotta do.
You want to talk tech nerd terms? You know how there's programs that run in the back of your computer at all times? That's what I do. Yeah. I'm running in the back of culture 24/7. And what's really cool for me is I'll be dangerous enough to come here and make some references that make everybody know that I know what's going on. I can do the same thing in 800 different little subcultures. This one's a little more fun for me because it's true, you know, but that's what I do.
That's fire. I love it. I love
Thanks for having me.
Listen, we're going to bring you back next
Anytime.
year around this time.
Done.
We're going to talk about the same thing. We're going to see what happened, and we're just
I'll try to work on my Nostradamus skills to give you something for 2018.
And big summer jam.
Yeah,
yes.
we were talking before we started filming this. Let's come up with something.
We're going to do something really dope.
All right. Of course. I always react to what's around me. Exactly. I almost made a star basketball reference.
Closed last night.